hundreds of accounts of wolf attacks, often with gruesome details that sound eerily similar to the tales we were told as children. These stories were not just the product of imagination, but rather the echoes of very real fears that plagued communities for generations. Wolves, with their sharp teeth and nocturnal howls, were the perfect embodiment of danger lurking in the shadows, a threat to the safety of children, and a reminder of how fragile life could be. The darker versions of these tales served a crucial purpose. They were created as cautionary tales, meant to warn children and adults alike about the perils that lay in the world. Little Red Riding Hood was not just a story about a knave girl, it was a narrative steeped in the real and terrifying experiences that people faced. The wolf, whether a beast or a cunning human, represented the unknown threats that could lead one astray. Through storytelling, communities aim to instill vigilance and caution, teaching the younger generations to be wary of strangers and the dangers of wandering alone. The role of music and color in the story of the Pied Piper adds another layer of complexity to this chilling legend. The Pied Piper, with his brightly colored clothes and enchanting melodies, symbolizes the allure of the unknown and the power of manipulation. Music, often associated with joy and celebration, takes on a sinister role in this tale. The piper's music, which should bring happiness, instead leads to loss and despair. This inversion of expectations serves as a metaphor for how easily one's senses can be deceived, leading to dire consequences. The use of color in storytelling cannot be understated. The vivid description of the piper's clothing is not merely for aesthetic purposes. It represents the mesmerizing and deceptive nature of appearances. Just as a child might be drawn to something shiny and new, the people of Hamelin were captivated by the piper, unable to see beyond his facade until it was too late. This tale, much like others from that era, reinforces the idea that not everything that glitters is gold, a lesson that resonates with the human experience across time. The intersection of folklore and history is a fascinating realm where reality and myth intertwine. Folklore serves as a vessel for cultural memory, preserving the essence of historical events while allowing room for embellishment and moral instruction. These stories, while often rooted in truth, evolve over time, adapting to the changing values and fears of society. They reveal profound truths about human nature, highlighting our vulnerabilities and the lengths we go to protect ourselves and our communities. As we delve deeper into these tales, it becomes evident that they are more than simple stories for entertainment. They are reflections of humanity's darkest fears and most desperate hopes. The narratives of the Pied Piper and Little Red Riding Hood have endured because they speak to universal themes: the loss of innocence, the dangers of trust misplaced, and the ever-present shadow of death that lingers at the edges of our lives. These tales remind us of the fragile line between safety and danger, a line that can be crossed with a single misstep or misplaced trust. Medieval documentation, though often fragmented and sparse, provides a window into how these events were perceived and recorded by those who witnessed them. Chroniclers of the time faced the daunting task of capturing the essence of events that defied explanation. Their writings, though sometimes embellished or incomplete, offer invaluable insights into the psyche of medieval societies. They reveal a world where the boundary between the natural and supernatural was often blurred, and where stories served as both records of history and warnings for the future. The societal impact of events like the mass disappearance in Hamelin and the predatory attacks in Vaudon cannot be overstated. These tragedies left deep scars on the communities affected, shaping local culture and collective memory for generations. The fear of such events recurring led to the creation of narratives that would serve as both reminders and deterrents. The cautionary tales that emerged were not just about preserving the past, but also about ensuring a safer future. They acted as societal checks, urging vigilance and community cohesion in the face of external threats. In the broader context, these stories illustrate the enduring power of folklore as a means of cultural preservation and education. They capture the essence of human experience, distilling complex emotions and events into narratives that transcend time and space. Through these tales, we gain insight into the values and fears of past societies, understanding how they navigated the uncertainties of their world. As we continue to explore these stories, we uncover layers of meaning that resonate with our own experiences, reminding us that while the world has changed, the fundamental challenges of existence remain. In the end, the tales of the Pied Piper and Little Red Riding Hood serve as poignant reminders of the darkness that can lurk within humanity's collective past. They are a testament to the resilience of storytelling as a tool for survival, reflection, and moral instruction. Through these narratives, we connect with the echoes of history, understanding that the line between myth and reality is often as thin as the pages on which these stories are written. As we listen to these tales, we are reminded of our shared humanity, our vulnerabilities, and our enduring quest for understanding in a world that is both wondrous and terrifying. Eyed Margaretta's father after the death of his first wife and quickly took control of the household, fostering a tense environment ripe for conflict. The parallels between Margaretta's life and the Snow White fairy tale are striking, with the wicked stepmother willing to go to any lengths to secure her family's wealth, even if it meant eliminating her stepdaughter. This real-life tragedy likely seeped into the collective consciousness, giving rise to a story that warned of the dangers lurking within familial power struggles. The archetype of the wicked stepmother, so prevalent in fairy tales, reflects societal fears and the harsh realities of medieval family dynamics. In an era where marriages were often arranged for financial or political gain, stepfamilies were common and tensions frequently arose over inheritance rights. Stepmothers, often painted in a negative light, were seen as threats to a child's rightful inheritance, and this perception was exacerbated by stories like Snow White. These narratives served not only as entertainment, but as cautionary tales, highlighting the precariousness of a child's position within a blended family. The psychological impact of such storytelling cannot be underestimated. For children growing up in a world where survival was uncertain and familial alliances could shift without warning, these tales provided a framework for understanding their own vulnerabilities. They learned to be wary of those who might have ulterior motives, to navigate the complexities of human relationships with caution, and to recognize that danger could come from within their own homes. In a sense, these stories were early forms of psychological education, preparing young minds for the harsh realities they might face. The brothers Grimm, who collected and published these tales, played a crucial role in preserving and popularizing them. Their work was not merely an exercise in folklore collection, it was a way of capturing the essence of a society grappling with its own demons. By recording these stories, the Grimms provided a mirror through which later generations could view the struggles and fears of their ancestors. The tales became a repository of generational trauma, a means of processing the collective memories of famine, betrayal, and survival. The Great Famine itself was a cataclysmic event that reshaped the social and economic landscape of Europe. As crops failed and livestock perished, communities were thrust into a desperate struggle for survival. Grain prices soared, leading to widespread starvation and societal upheaval. The famine exposed the fragility of medieval agrarian societies, where a single failed harvest could spell disaster. In the face of such adversity, families were forced to make unthinkable decisions, and the stories that emerged from this period reflect the moral complexities and human costs of survival. The phenomenon of child abandonment, documented in both historical records and folklore, serves as a haunting reminder of the lengths to which people would go to endure. The systematic nature of this abandonment, as parents led their children into the woods under false pretenses, speaks to the calculated desperation that characterized these times. The tale of Hansel and Gretel, with its breadcrumb trail and gingerbread house, encapsulates the dual themes of loss and predation. It warns of the dangers lurking in the wilderness and within human hearts, where the line between protector and predator could blur in the face of starvation. Cannibalism, a taboo subject, emerged as a stark reality during these periods of crisis. The accounts of people resorting to such measures highlight the dire circumstances that stripped away the veneer of civilization. These acts, while horrifying, underscore the primal drive to survive even at the cost of one's humanity. The concept of witchoses further illustrates the extremes to which individuals were pushed, becoming both victims and villains in their own stories. These narratives challenge us to consider the ethical dilemmas faced by those living on the brink of extinction, where moral codes were tested and often broken. Archaeological evidence provides a sobering confirmation of these dark chapters in history. The discovery of child graves in forested areas, dated to coincide with known famines, corroborates the tales of abandonment and loss. These findings offer tangible proof of the desperation that drove families to such tragic decisions. They also serve as a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit, as even in the face of overwhelming adversity, people sought ways to endure and protect their loved ones. Margaretha von Waldeck's story, intertwined with the Snow White legend, highlights the intersection of myth and reality. Her opposition to child labor, a progressive stance for her time, threatened the status quo and ultimately led to her untimely demise. Her life and death became emblematic of the struggles faced by those who dared to challenge entrenched systems of power and exploitation. The transformation of her story into a fairy tale illustrates how real events can be mythologized, serving as both cautionary tales and calls for social change. The role of stepmothers in these narratives, often cast as antagonists, reflects deeper societal anxieties about family and inheritance. These stories reveal the complexities of step-family dynamics, where loyalty and trust could be easily undermined by greed and ambition. The portrayal of stepmothers as villains in folklore mirrors the legal and social challenges faced by children and women navigating inheritance laws and familial relationships in medieval Europe. These tales, while rooted in specific historical contexts, continue to resonate because they address universal themes of power, love, and betrayal. Generational trauma, as reflected in these stories, underscores the enduring impact of historical events on collective memory. The brothers Grimm, by capturing these tales, ensured that the lessons and warnings of the past would not be forgotten. Their work allows us to explore the psychological scars left by famine, abandonment, and familial conflict, offering insights into how societies cope with trauma. Storytelling becomes a therapeutic process, enabling communities to process their shared experiences and pass on hard-earned wisdom to future generations. Through these tales, we glimpse the resilience of those who came before us, their struggles immortalized in narratives that continue to captivate and instruct. As we listen to these stories, we are reminded of the interconnectedness of myth and history, and the ways in which the human spirit perseveres in the face of unimaginable hardship. Each tale serves as a testament to the enduring power of storytelling to illuminate the darkest corners of human experience, offering hope and understanding in a world that is both harsh and wondrous. Tale, removing the horrifying elements and transforming it into the more palatable version we recognize today. He introduced the prince's kiss as a gentle awakening, stripping away the dark truths of violence and violation that Basile's story presented. This alteration was not merely an artistic choice, but a reflection of societal discomfort with confronting the grim realities that women faced. By turning a tale of assault into a romantic fantasy, Perrault and later storytellers perpetuated a sanitized version of history that obscured the true plight of women in medieval Europe. The real-life inspirations behind these tales serve as a stark reminder of the brutal conditions that women endured. Margaret's tragic story, hidden beneath layers of folklore, highlights the dangerous intersections of power, beauty, and familial betrayal. Her life and untimely death were not unique in their cruelty, but they have become emblematic of the ways in which history is reshaped into narrative. As the supposed inspiration for Snow White, Margaret's tale is a chilling account of how stories evolve over time, reflecting societal values and fears. The transformation of Margaret's murder into a fairy tale illustrates the human tendency to mythologize tragedy, perhaps as a means to process the darkness that exists in reality. The medieval period was rife with the use of poison as a tool for both political maneuvering and personal vendettas. Arsenic, often referred to as the inheritance powder, was favored for its undetectable nature and slow, acting properties. It could be administered in small doses over time, making it an ideal weapon for those seeking to eliminate rivals discreetly. The forensic discovery of these substances in Margaret's hair centuries later provides a haunting glimpse into the methods of murder that went unnoticed at the time. Poisoning was a crime that thrived in the shadows, its perpetrators often evading justice due to the limitations of medieval forensic science. Mirrors in the medieval context held a dual significance. They were a symbol of wealth and vanity, often crafted by skilled Venetian artisans whose creations were sought after by the European elite. For Margaret's stepmother, the possession of such luxury items was a declaration of status, but it also hinted at an obsession with appearance that bordered on narcissism. The mirror as a motif in Snow White becomes a reflection not just of beauty, but of the destructive power of envy and pride. It is a testament to how material objects can become imbued with deeper meanings, serving as both literal and figurative reflections of the characters who gaze into them. The tale of Sleeping Beauty, in its original form, exposes the vulnerabilities of women who, due to illness or circumstance, found themselves at the mercy of those who should have protected them. The condition of catalepsy and other similar ailments were poorly understood, often leading families to attribute these episodes to curses or divine punishment. In reality, these conditions were medical phenomena that left individuals in a state of helplessness. The societal response to such conditions was inadequate, with the afflicted often becoming victims of abuse rather than recipients of care. Medieval medical practices were a curious blend of superstition and emerging scientific inquiry. The lack of understanding about the human body and its ailments led to treatments that were often as dangerous as the conditions they sought to cure. The misinterpretation of natural phenomena as supernatural events speaks to the pervasive influence of folklore and myth in shaping the medieval worldview. This intersection of medicine and superstition created an environment where the true causes of illness were obscured by fear and ignorance. The legal framework of the time offered scant protection for women and children, especially those born of illicit relationships. The stigma of illegitimacy was a burden that followed individuals throughout their lives, affecting their social standing and inheritance rights. The harsh realities faced by these children were compounded by societal norms that prioritized lineage and purity over justice and compassion. This lack of legal recourse left many vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. Their stories often erased or transformed into cautionary tales that served as warnings rather than calls for change. As fairy tales evolved, they were repeatedly reshaped to fit the moral and cultural expectations of the societies that retold them. The brothers Grimm, like Perrault, sought to preserve these stories, but in doing so, they often altered them to reflect contemporary values. The sanitization of these tales over time is a testament to the human desire to find comfort in fiction, to distance ourselves from the harsher truths of our past. Yet, even in their altered forms, these stories retain echoes of the real events and people that inspired them, reminding us of the persistent shadows that linger beneath the surface of fairy tales. In examining the origins of stories like Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, we uncover not just the narratives themselves, but the deeper truths about the societies that created them. These tales are not merely entertainment. They are reflections of historical realities, capturing the complexities of human behavior and the often fraught relationships between power, beauty, and morality. Through the lens of these narratives, we glimpse the enduring struggles and triumphs of those who lived long before us, their lives immortalized in stories that continue to captivate and educate. The transformation of Grimm fairy tales into more palatable stories reflects a deep, seated need in society to find solace in narratives that promise safety and redemption. The brothers Grimm, among others, took stories like Sleeping Beauty and stripped them of their harsher elements, transforming a narrative of violation into one of romance and heroism. This sanitization process tells us much about societal desires to believe in happy endings despite the grim realities that often underpin these tales. In the original versions, stories like Sleeping Beauty served as cautionary tales rather than romantic escapades. They warned medieval audiences about the vulnerabilities faced by women, particularly when unconscious or incapacitated, and about the dangers posed by those who seem like saviors but might harbor sinister intentions. The original Sleeping Beauty never consented to the events that befell her. She was a victim whose life was irrevocably altered by crimes committed against her while she lay defenseless. This narrative shift from a tale of survival and victimization to one of romance reflects a broader societal reluctance to confront uncomfortable truths about power dynamics and violation. The case of Gilles de Rais, whose horrific crimes inspired the Bluebeard fairy tale, is another example of how historical narratives are reshaped in folklore. Gilles de Rais was a nobleman with immense wealth and charm, characteristics that made him appear trustworthy. Yet, beneath this facade, he committed unspeakable acts of violence, targeting children in a horrifying spree of torture and murder. His story was transformed into a fairy tale about marital disobedience and curiosity, a narrative shift that obscures the true horror of his actions but maintains a core message about the dangers of blind trust in those who wield power. The Tale of Blue Beard, as recorded by Charles Perrault, captures the essence of this transformation. In Perrault's version, the story is sanitized to focus on marital intrigue and the consequences of curiosity. The locked room motif in Blue Beard serves as a powerful symbol of forbidden knowledge and the dire consequences of uncovering dark secrets. However, the real story behind Blue Beard paints a far more chilling picture. Gilles de Rais's crimes were not about marital disobedience. They were acts of horrific violence against children, driven by delusions of gaining supernatural power. The transformation of these stories highlights a recurring theme in folklore, the desire to present a world where justice prevails and good triumphs over evil. Yet, the true historical narratives often tell a different story, one where power and wealth can shield perpetrators from justice for years. Gilles de Rais's case exemplifies how social hierarchies and connections allowed him to evade consequences for his actions, reflecting broader issues of impunity for the powerful. Fairy tales have long served as mirrors to societal values and fears. They reflect the time and culture in which they were told, offering both entertainment and cautionary lessons. The enduring legacy of tales like Sleeping Beauty and Blue Beard lies in their ability to provoke reflection on issues of trust, power, and vulnerability. These stories continue to influence contemporary culture, reminding us of the complexities of human behavior and the often harsh realities that underlie seemingly simple narratives. In modern times, these tales have been retold and reinterpreted in various media, continuing to captivate audiences while also serving as vehicles for exploring deeper societal issues. The cautionary nature of these stories remains relevant, offering insights into the human condition and the perennial struggles between good and evil, power and vulnerability. As we delve into the narratives of these fairy tales, we uncover layers of meaning that go beyond simple entertainment. They challenge us to consider the historical context in which they were created and the enduring lessons they impart. These stories, though transformed over time, continue to resonate with audiences, offering both a window into the past and a mirror reflecting the complexities of our own world. The psychological impact of these tales on childhood development is profound. They shape perceptions of morality, danger, and trust, influencing how individuals navigate the world around them. The balance between entertainment and education in storytelling is delicate, yet fairy tales have long managed to strike this balance, imparting important life lessons while captivating the imagination. The legacy of fear and caution embedded in these stories serves as a testament to their enduring power. They remind us of the dangers that lurk beneath the surface of seemingly idyllic worlds and the importance of vigilance in the face of potential threats. These tales, though often sanitized and transformed, continue to hold a mirror to society, reflecting both its aspirations and its darkest fears. In contemplating the stories of Sleeping Beauty and Blue Beard, we are reminded of the enduring human fascination with tales of danger and redemption. These narratives, born out of historical realities, challenge us to confront uncomfortable truths about power, vulnerability, and the human capacity for both good and evil. They invite us to question the narratives we accept and to seek a deeper understanding of the world around us, guided by the lessons of those who have come before. Through the lens of these fairy tales, we gain insight into the complexities of human behavior and the societal structures that shape our lives. They offer a window into the past, illuminating the struggles and triumphs of those who lived long ago, while also providing valuable lessons for navigating the challenges of the present.